Coming up on this episode of One on One Sports,
we recap an exciting holiday of college basketball,
take a look at some recent ESPN numbers,
preview Super Bowl contenders,
and recap an exciting college football rivalry week.
All that and so much more.
It all starts
right now. Hello and welcome to this episode of One on One Sports. I'm Andrew Vandellis.
And I'm Matt Holzapfel. It has been 2 weeks since we've been here, so to catch you up on the biggest stories, we're going to open things up with the quick hitters. Sixers point guard Markelle Fultz has been sidelined once again with a shoulder issue. The former first-round pick has been struggling so far this season, so Andrew, what should the 76ers do about their young star?
Keep on carrying on. You got Jimmy Butler. You just got him. He's producing big time with you guys. Couple game winners is all of that. And now you're viewed as a true top contender in the East. Fultz doesn't really have a place in the starting lineup. I mean, you could just fill him in with TJ McConnell or, or even Ben Simmons, who's
like
the point forward.
14-8, third in the East, exactly where they should be, behind, around there, Boston, Toronto at the top, and Milwaukee looks really good. But you said it, TJ McConnell, fine point guard. Ben Simmons, he's going to handle the point guard roles no matter whether Fultz is healthy or not. But Jimmy Butler's fitting fine with his new team. So here's the thing. They want to trade him. Why trade him, though? Why not just hold on to him and see if he gets better? He had a lot of potential coming into the league, so why not hold on to him and say, if he's great, great. If not, if he gets to the offseason, he's still out, maybe look for him.
Exactly, and I'm viewing this as how it's impacting the team. I'm not saying to drop Fultz at all. Neither of us are. But him getting hurt isn't really going to sidetrack the Sixers at all, I don't think. I mean, it hasn't so far. It didn't really last season. They kind of were projected to go further. I mean, they went further than they were kind of projected to go last year in the playoffs. And I think, again, as you said, once you add him, he could produce. If not, it's another body.
It feels like an Andrew Luck kind of thing. He's not physically hurt anymore. He's just mentally hurt. He has a broken jump shot. That's his official designation. I think he'll get over it eventually, but when, who knows?
Yeah. Zlatan Ibrahimovic might be leaving the MLS just as quickly as he arrived. AC Milan is reportedly interested in signing the 34-year-old old striker. Matt, if Zlatan were to return to AC Milan, would that hurt the MLS's appeal?
First of all, Zlatan gets what Zlatan wants.
Let's
set the record straight. He was great this season, 22 goals and 27 appearances, all you can ask for from an aging star who is honestly just here to make more money and play out his soccer career. Here's the thing. This looks bad on the LA Galaxy, not the MLS, for a couple of reasons. First of all, the turf. We saw the same thing with Thierry Henry with New York in 2010 to 2014. Older players from Europe who have had a history of knee injuries don't want to play on turf for good reason, because it's easier to get hurt. Zlatan's upset. There's 8 teams that have turf in MLS, and they've only played 1 game on turf in the last couple of games for the LA Galaxy. So it's not a big deal. It's just Zlatan has a problem with the effort of the other MLS players, and it's because it's not the same level as European soccer.
It's not at all, but do I think it would hurt the MLS's appeal? No, as I agree with you. They would only affect the Galaxy. Again, there was a lot of hype around Zlatan when he came in, and as you said, he delivered. Who could forget his first game when he scored that bomb of a goal?
It was beautiful.
And now he probably realized he's getting a lot more exposure and more money and help his knees out, as you mentioned. In Milan, it wouldn't make a long-term difference, though. If anything, it's going to create some buzz for Milan.
If anything, it just proved that American soccer in the MLS is not at the level of European soccer yet, which we already knew that.
No.
Zlatan having this problem is not anything new. MLS has to step it up somehow,
It's sad, but that's the state of the things,
exactly,
American soccer, but that's about it.
The match for golf mankind finally occurred on Friday as longtime rivals Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson squared off in an epic 22-hole match for a whopping $9 million. Andrew, was this good for golf, and how does it impact the future of golf?
I think it was a really fun way to showcase individual matchups that we may have not seen, actual one-on-one matchups. And I really like the side bets they made. They did the birdie the first hole for $200K, which I liked. And
he was yelling at Phil, hey, $200K if you make this. I love that.
It was so funny, and it was all friendly. It's not a blood feud or anything. We could see that, though. And it's the first time we've seen something like that on Bleacher Report or pay-per-view. But there was one issue with the stream. People who bought the pay-per-view were unaware that it ended up being streamed on Bleacher Report for free, and they wasted $20.
I saw that at one point over 500 people were on hold with technical issues. You can't have that. This was such a hyped event for good reason. It was a one-of-a-kind thing that never happened before. Streaming on so many platforms, that's great, but they had so many problems. They just clearly weren't ready for the magnitude of this event, and for that reason, it flopped. No matter how good the golf was, no matter how good the entertainment was, it flopped because the streaming could not get it done.
Well, that's always going to happen, though, when there are big firsts like this. Overall, the concept, I think, was very enjoyable. It obviously played out well. 22 holes. Oh, my God. $9 million. Side bets out the wazoo for charity and personal stakes. It's awesome. Congrats, Phil. But, yeah, I think it's great. There are going to be some technical slip-ups, obviously, when you do something like this. But I would love to see this return.
Idea great, execution bogey.
Yeah. This past weekend, Ohio State upset Michigan in the game, sending college football into mayhem. Now there are 7 teams in the top 10 with 0 or 1 loss, setting up a tough decision for the playoff committee this weekend when they have to put together their final rankings of the season. With that in mind, Matt, should the college football playoff be expanded to include more than 4 teams?
No, it should not. This is terrible,
No.
and I've seen so many previews and pictures of what the bracket would look like.
Oh, my God.
This is not college basketball. There is not enough time for 16 teams to play 8 games, and then 4 games, and then 2 games, and then 1 game.
Can you
because
imagine the effect
you have
that's going to have on
play-
players?
Exactly. You can't play a game every 3 days in college football. It has to be at least a week, and there's just not enough time in the season. You're taking away regular season games if you do that, and then on top of that, they have this whole, bowl game, and then bowl game, and then bowl game.
That's
and
a
each
waste
team.
of bowl games.
So we want Alabama to win 3 bowl games now every
That's
year?
what I was going to say,
yeah,
too.
Exactly.
Alabama's just going to steamroll through people, but at the end, they're going to be fatigued by that. What's the point in having the mystique around the college football playoff and having the top 4 teams square off if you're going to broaden it out to 16? The exposure is going to decrease if you do so. You're going to have teams that nobody really cares about in there, maybe on a national level, rather. But again, we're going to see Alabama dominate. We're going to see maybe Ohio State get shockingly upset. Oh, woo-hoo. Alabama's not going to lose. All the contenders up there. And we're just going to see disappointment if we open it up.
We've already
That's
seen
it.
prestige taken away from bowls like the Orange and Rose Bowl by putting them in the semifinals. You do that to even more bowls. This isn't the FCS.
No.
There is not a playoff to decide the winner. There is so many bowl games that have to happen because that's how the FBS does it.
Yeah, because I really want to see a Buffalo Wild Wings bowl in the semifinals of the college football playoff.
One last thing I'll say, UCF should be in. Put them in.
Ooh, that's all the time we have left, but when we come back, we'll talk about all the excitement surrounding college basketball.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection.
hand?
They need you.
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
It's no fairy tale that the right fit means everything, especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
That does make a difference.
To find out more, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Danse, balance la cadence, ondule bien tes hanches, au bal du dimanche.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
College basketball is in full swing, and the early season tournaments feature games that went down to the wire. Teams like Gonzaga have soared in the early season, while defending national champion Villanova fell twice and dropped out of the top 25, made an appearance back after the AP poll. I'm joined at the desk by Brad and Evan to discuss the NCAA's pretenders and contenders after the November tournaments. So, Brad, what do you think of Gonzaga?
So when I watch college basketball, normally I watch it in the scope of for draft prospects, and not only looking at it from a pure basketball standpoint, not only did they take down the best team in the country in Duke, Rui Hachimura, his play was incredible. He looked like every bit the top 10 draft pick he is projected to be. And if you watched R.J. Barrett, in the end of that game against Duke, they ran the same play 4 or 5 times. He tried to drive the rim every single time. Hachimura kept stonewalling him. And the rest of the team, there's a very cohesive unit. I think they're going to go very far this year.
The ending of the Duke game, there's a lot of things I want to say about Gonzaga real quick. The team looks like the real deal, but I'm not sold on them. They don't play anyone good. The only teams they play that are ranked are Duke, UNC, and Tennessee. That's it. But they do this every year. They're going to run the table, but If you look at that Duke game, yes, Hachimura was incredible. I was blown away by him. I was very impressed. He dominated Duke in every bit of the game, but the team did not close the game late, and that's what I'm worried about.
But
they should have beaten Duke by a lot more than they did.
That's fair to say, and I do understand the sentiment of Gonzaga being the team that benefits from not playing a ton of great competition every single year.
They're the UCF of basketball.
Yeah, but they already beat Duke. The best team in the country. I know
they should have beaten Duke, but they should have been a bigger statement.
We'll
Duke
talk
should
about
not
another
have
team
had.
that should have done a lot better than they did. What do you think of Villanova, Evan?
Villanova, there are a lot of question marks surrounding this team. You know, you lost to Michigan, which, you know, is a good team, but they lost to Furman, which is unacceptable if you're the defending champion. You know, their defense isn't there as it was last year, and their offense looks lost. Shots aren't falling for them. Only one starter is shooting over 40% from three, and that's kind of their mantra last year. The mantra was a 3-and-D team. We're going to get out, we're going to run. We're not going to be the biggest, but we're going to be the fastest, most well-prepared, and they shot really well from three. And
all I'm going to do is just repeat basically what you said. This is a team that last year won the championship off of dynamic offense. That dynamic offense is completely it's not even there anymore. It does not exist. Losing to Furman, you know, they're 23 right now, right?
They're 23 in the country. Just unacceptable. That loss.
Brad, what do you think about Auburn now? We're gonna move over to Auburn, another different team.
So Auburn is, when you look at Auburn, and what do they think, they're 8 right now?
Yeah.
When you look at Auburn, you think football. But now we've seen this is a very successful team so far this year. They're 8th in the nation right now. We just had a couple days ago, they have a great recruiting class coming in for 2019 also. So more than just the micro of this season, the macro as a whole, I think we're seeing a shift in Auburn from being a football school to a basketball school.
In my opinion, Auburn can easily win the SEC.
I agree.
Jared Harper can flat out ball. That dude was incredible in the game against Duke. You saw Duke, extend the lead to, around 20 points, high teens. Auburn cut it back to single digits. Duke extended, Auburn cut it back. And the reason why Auburn cut it back is because Jared Harper just straight up took anyone on Duke one-on-one from three, pulled up right in their face, and drained it. Balled out.
I look at Auburn, like, I know it's very, very early to say these things, but they're a quintessential 2 seed in one of the regions in March Madness.
A lot of surprises, though.
The one thing that interests me, the one thing that kind of hinders me on Auburn is they live and die by the three. They're the stereotypical Duke thing.
Yeah, a lot of surprises so far early on in the season. That's all the time we have for the College Hardwood. When we come back, Matt will be discussing what impact you, the viewer, are having in the sports world.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
ESPN has lost about 2 million domestic subscribers over the past 12 months, according to Disney's newly released annual report. Since 2011, ESPN has lost 15 million subscribers, which is a $1.44 billion a year in lost revenue. With ESPN in the middle of billion-dollar contracts to air MLB, NBA, and NFL games and highlights, many are questioning what this could mean for the future of sports broadcasting. To help answer some of those questions, I'm here with Evan Abelstein, Emmanuel Topso. Guys, Should ESPN be worried about these declining views? Emmanuel, what do you think?
I think so, but mostly because of what you said regarding the contracts. They have a $5.6 billion contract with the MLB, a $12.6 billion contract with the NBA that they just signed, $15.2 billion contract with the NFL. Not only that, we have the NFL, Major League Soccer, and Major League Baseball contracts ending before 2022. You're going to have to start paying these, and they're going to want more money just like the NBA got. So when we're looking at the revenue that ESPN is losing, it's not like some of the other channels that, cable cord cutting is affecting them, and they can just afford to lose viewers because ESPN has to have these contracts, and they have to keep paying all of these different sports programs. So to me, they have to start looking at these numbers.
I agree. I think it is a big issue that they are losing a lot of subscribers every year, and it's costing them tens of millions of dollars every single year in revenue, and it's just not sustainable. ESPN, Disney, they have a lot of money already, but they're still flowing a lot of money into these contracts, into these TV deals with these leagues, and I mean, it won't be sustainable. It might be sustainable for this TV deal that they have with the NFL and the NBA, but not for the future.
I mean, I think you can tell that it's not. I think it's not sustainable right now. I mean, since 2015, ESPN has laid off 400 employees. Yet they're still somehow paying Michelle Beadle, basically the cast of Get Up, $16.5 million a year in total. So I mean, I think it's not sustainable, but I think we have to look at how ESPN is spending their money. Is it right for them to really be kind of giving these large contracts to these three individuals who Michelle Beadle's not even on Get Up anymore? And then compared to, we have all of these different other people, Trent Dilfer, different analysts who have been on ESPN for years, for decades, and now they're kind of getting the boot just because, hey, we got to afford Get Up.
We're losing big name guys, Mark Stein, but also we're getting new shows. We had High Noon with Bomani Jones. Katie Nolan gets a new show every week, it feels like. So what can ESPN do to kind of slow down this decline in numbers and cord cutting?
Oh, they head over to streaming, just like everybody else. I mean, they already introduced ESPN Plus, which is their streaming service. You can stream live sporting events. You can stream their original content on there. It's a smart move by them. They already have 1 million new subscribers to that, and it just opened up last year. If they continue to promote ESPN Plus and streaming, and people who cut their TV deals, then go cord cutting, and they go towards streaming and ESPN Plus, I think ESPN will be fine. I think they just need to really promote ESPN Plus.
I don't know how I feel about that because, if we're looking at how ESPN Plus's numbers are doing, a lot of people are actually kind of disappointed with their amount of subscribers. They're expecting more people. But I think if you look at, the different avenues that we have to watch sports nowadays, like let's say I just want to watch football, college football, NFL, just NFL, NFL Network, NFL Red Zone. I think if you're ESPN, you're expecting people to decrease, you're expecting your viewership to decrease because there are just so many different places where you can watch sports and watch highlights and watch people talk about sports nowadays.
But going off of that, if ESPN can't slow down this decline and they lose a lot of money, what's the future of watching sports look like?
I think it's kind of similar to what the future is right now in terms of just so many different avenues and medias to watch sports and to watch highlights and stuff like that. We see YouTube actually coming up, and YouTube for me is where I watch most of my highlights because it gives me 7 minutes concise videos, and that's it. So
see,
different avenues.
I kind of disagree actually. The live sports will always be best presented on live television. And even if there's live streaming, live television is still 30 seconds to a minute ahead. People are always still going to go to the bars, to the TV set to watch these games. So even if ESPN loses their contract and can't afford it, I'm 100% sure that there's other broadcasters like Turner Broadcasting that would love to pick up these deals and continue streaming them on live TV. Because again, that's where all the ads are. That's where they're going to make most of their money. Live television still.
I could see that, but I just see, like I said, nowadays the amount of people who are watching 3 hours of a game,
it's
definitely going down.
People are going to watch sports. It's just about where they're going to watch them. You're going to find out in not so distant future, though. That's all the time we have left. When we come back, we'll be discussing NFL teams that have a shot at the Super Bowl.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs, just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
We're nearing the home stretch of the NFL season. We're quickly figuring out which teams are for real. I'm joined at the desk by our NFL experts, Will and Drew, to discuss which teams are the real deal. So, Will, are the Bears legit?
I think they are. They're 8-3 right now, and there are two things I trust about this team going into the playoffs, because I do think, at worst, they'll have a 12-4 record with the schedule coming up. They have Mitch Trubisky, who's playing well, 20 TDs, 9 interceptions, and this defense is legit. They're the 4th in terms of rush yards allowed per game and 2nd in overall defense per game.
All right, I'll give you that. They're 8-3 at the season. They're only a game and a half on the Vikings, and that team can step up when it comes playoff times. But they haven't so far. You're right. They're only 6-4-1, but they tied a team that they can easily beat. They should win out, and you never know. Aaron Rodgers is in that division. They have struggled. The Packers have struggled, and that's kind of why the Bears are successful. They're like, oh, they're winning the NFC North, where you have Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers, who is this Trubisky kid leading this team, but he's been hurt lately. Who is Daniels? If he cannot perform, who is their quarterback?
Allegedly, he should be cleared for next week, but Bears are looking to continue their dominance. Drew, how good are the Saints, and can they sustain the success that they have right now?
They're really good, but who dat receiving core? We don't understand. They had 4 players that were undrafted for the first time in NFL history score a touchdown this week. One of them was his only reception on the season, his second game of the season, his only game of the season, and Keith Kirkwood, he only has 6 receptions for 83 yards.
But when you have Drew Brees,
but Drew Brees can do whatever he wants. But their defense is their main concern. They can put up points, but can they stop other teams?
I mean, right now, I'd say Drew Brees is the MVP of the league, and the Saints are definitely the hottest team in the NFL. Their one loss was in week 1, which is what you want to see. It was kind of a fluke to the Buccaneers. They've won 10 straight games.
Magic.
Yeah, that was a great game.
And that division has all the hot and cold players as well. The NFC South is really competitive, even though the Saints are rolling away with it. They have teams that have Ryan and Cam Newton at quarterbacks in the Falcons and the Panthers. That division, you never know what's going to happen.
So we're going to look forward to the Super Bowl now. Is Rams-Chiefs, is that the matchup for the Super Bowl? Is it a lock at this point?
I hope so, and I think every NFL fan out there hopes so, because that was one of the greatest games I've ever seen personally. 54-51, the only time a team scored 50 points in a game and lost. But, however, I don't think this is going to be the Super Bowl matchup. Like I said, I do think the Saints are going to go to the Super Bowl after getting that first round bye. I trust Drew Brees over a guy like Pat Mahomes or Jared Goff.
I understand why you can understand or expect Drew Brees to get into that situation. And all I have to say is, please let this be the Super Bowl. We saw the most entertaining game of football we're going to see in a generation. Nobody's ever seen scoring like that, at least since the Super Bowl era really started. It's the second highest scoring football game in history, the first highest in NFL. And the thing is, it's a proving year for Goff. And if it's Patrick Mahomes' year, the only thing that I can see standing in the way of the Rams and the Chiefs is going to be the Rams versus the Texans. The Texans are one of the hottest football teams in the nation, or in the league right now.
Well, that's all the time we have, but when we come back, we'll discuss the most heated week in college football.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
The hardest phrase in sports to say is also the most exciting. Rivalry week is in the books for college football, and what an exciting week it was. I'm joined at the desk by Ennis Warlick and David Flint to break down exactly what we saw. So guys, Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray both had huge weeks and big wins. Who had the bigger week? Ennis?
I'm going to go ahead and roll with Tua here, and the only reason I'm going to do that is just because of Auburn's defense has produced pretty much all year. The highest point total they've given up has been pretty much in like the high 20s. They both put up similar stat lines. It's kind of hard to roll with either of them because they have pretty similar stat lines, but I'm just going to have to go with Tua this week.
Not a bad choice, but I'm going with Kyler Murray. 364 pass yards, 4 TDs, had 1 pick, yes, but also 114 rush yards and a TD there. 500 yards of offense single-handedly accounted to Kyler Murray. Now, it's in the Big 12 where defense doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But still, to have 500 yards of offense to one player, you can't go against that.
It's crazy that these two combined for 10 touchdowns. They have to be the two Heisman favorites, right? I think coming down the stretch, we'll see them in New York. David, which rivalry is the most overlooked?
Right now, it's Washington versus Washington State, the Apple Cup. Part of that is they're on the West Coast where, especially if it's a late game, people aren't up to watch. But, I mean, this year it was in a blizzard. Washington State was supposed to win, and normally they have a high-flying offense, but the blizzard kind of neutralized that. And Washington, who
doesn't love Mike Leach?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And Washington, who's not really had the greatest of years after that opening letdown to Auburn, they came out and they beat the Cougars and beat them pretty bad. So right now it's that rivalry.
I'm going to have to go with Army and Navy, and the only reason why I say this is overlooked is just because it's just not two hot-button teams that are really competing for playoff spots, but it's still a good rivalry. Navy's sort of dominated the competition for the past few years, but every game, at least in the past 5 years, has been pretty close. If you look at the game that just happened, it was 14-13. I would go with Army and Navy.
It doesn't sound exciting, right? But 14-13, that's a great game. And also we saw Keenan Reynolds dominate that rivalry for so long. Other side of the spectrum, which rivalry is no longer competitive, Ennis?
I'm going to have to go with my home state, UVA, Virginia Tech rivalry. It's just not competitive. It's horrible to watch. The last game that the Cavaliers won was in 2004 when I was in kindergarten. Just not a competitive game. If you watched the game last Saturday, it just was UVA pretty much did everything they could to lose that game. Just not a competitive series.
As a fellow Virginian, I agree with you, but right now I got to go with Florida versus Florida
Absolutely.
State.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
What in the world has happened in Tallahassee? Willie Taggart forgot how to coach, apparently, and his players have not responded at all.
Not at all.
The Gators absolutely embarrassed them on their own field in a rivalry that, until recently, they were expected to win. Florida has been good, but of course, Florida State had Jameis Winston and Dalvin
you bet
Cook.
they missed Jimbo Fisher, and then UVA stick to basketball, I guess.
Absolutely.
Next time we're here, guys, final college football playoff rankings will be out. Get excited. But it's all coming out for this college football rivalry block. When we come back, Andrew and I are going to break down some truly terrible athlete outfits.
Whether it be entering the arena or during post-game interviews, athlete outfits are well documented in the media. Some for better and some most certainly for worse. Matt, what is the single worst outfit you've seen an athlete wear?
All right, so Cam Newton is widely known as having a very interesting wardrobe. I don't know who dressed him. They should be fired. But I don't know who dressed him. I don't know who decided he should wear a male romper for Coachella. It was bad. It was, first of all, it was this weird shade of maroon.
He's not the only one who did that, though.
It had some weird patterns, and who told him this was a good idea? Who told him? Because they were wrong.
I don't know, but I think Gridiron Heights does a great job portraying Cam Newton in just the romper. But I'm going to go with Russell Westbrook and his fake glasses. These are real. I need them to see. Russell Westbrook, not so much. My man looks like Steve Urkel in his fake red sunglasses. My only question is why? Stars like LeBron, Rondo, Melo, since copied it. Russ says he started the fake glasses trend, and what a terrible trend to
I
start.
don't understand what the fad is with all these top-tier athletes just having no sense of fashion.
I don't know. Maybe they should pay for people to dress
You can
them.
spend $1 billion on any clothes you want, and you chose to wear that.
And you chose to wear fake glasses and a romper? Imagine if someone did that, the world would explode. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of One-on-One Sports.
A huge thank you goes to all our producers, crew, talent, and of course you, the viewer, for tuning in.
If you like what you saw and you want to see more, be sure to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all at One-on-One Sports.
That is all from us here in the studio.
So until next time,
whose side are you on?